So, as a physical presence, what is this 93-year-old man like?
An evil. I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't look at him because I was too busy bending over his shoulder, making sure I didn't knock any of the silverware over the glasses, or even touch him, because I didn't want to be charged with assault or damage to property or any of that stuff. And Dave was looking straight at him, so he's probably better to tell you.
Um, it's hard to sort of describe because it's the first time I've actually looked at somebody like that and got the. It was a sort of like the gaze that he gave me back. I mean, evil comes across. You feel a lot of evil there. Even when he was walking past us, and he was only about maybe 18 inches away from us when he was actually walking past us while we were sitting. And when I saw him and I saw that face, you have that immediate sort of like feeling, you know, like where you sort of like feel this cold chill in the air. He seems to be able to create that sort of atmosphere, and that's what he was doing. That's basically my first impression of it. But then when I was looking at him at the table, I could see coldness in his eyes. You know, it was like dead eyes. I suppose that's the best way I can describe it. Like I say, it only happened yesterday, so again, a lot of it is all coming back to me now. You know, in hindsight, you know how I felt when I actually looked at him. But certainly, it wasn't a beneficial feeling in any way. Yeah.
I can imagine the Darth Vader theme playing in the background as he walks by.
You could actually cut a knife at the end of it, and that was the thing. You know, like, as we were walking away, you could cut the atmosphere with a knife. It was silent in the place, and as we were walking away, people, like I say, people were moving aside for us, and we just had almost like a red carpet out of the building. You know, you can see this big entrance in front of us, you know, to the front of the hotel. It's quite a grand place. And we just walked side by side, just straight out of the main entrance and straight out onto the road.
Right.
And as we were, you could feel the atmosphere. You could cut the atmosphere with a knife. And at any point, what I was worried about was at any point we're going to be apprehended on our way out, or someone's going to take my camera or something like that. But we got out, miraculously, we got out. We even walked past the police and we got outside onto the street. So it was, I don't know, in a way it felt like we were sort of like running the gauntlet, because at any point someone could have stopped us. So it was a very unique situation that I've been in, that I've never really been in before.
It's 1 minute you'll never forget.
1 minute we'll never
I guess not, but I think you handled it extremely well, especially that you were concerned not to touch them or not to, you know, interfere with them in any way, just to do what you needed to do and get out. I think that's the best way to do it in that situation, especially when it's just the two of you. And it was just the two of you, right?
Yeah,
it was just the two of us in there at that time. I mean, it was just chance, because, you know, it was on the Sunday morning and the talks were all over by then, you know, but there was still the trilateralists all there. You know, a lot of them would have been there on Sunday. So, and we decided to make our way back down and get some breakfast and that. We stayed in Dublin overnight and we went to get some breakfast, and the place where we went the day before was closed. So at that point, like Neil said, at that point we said, well, why don't we go to the Four Seasons where the trilateral was being held, just for the crack, you know? So we went down, and everything just fell into place. And where we sat, you know, there was no special reason why we sat where we did. We just sat there, and it just happened to be the place where Rockefeller walked straight past us. So what are the chances of that happening? You know, everything fell in place for us. It's almost divine.
Neil Foster and Dave Derby of the Sovereign Independent. It is extremely exciting to see groups like this, the Sovereign Independent and We Are Change and other such activist groups, gaining notoriety and gaining in numbers and gaining in strength and gaining in effect as they go out there and confront the people who are presuming to run the world from behind the scenes. And of course, they're only ever able to affect that if they can do it behind closed doors and in secrecy, because that is the only way in which these types of plans and schemes can come to fruition. It could never happen if it was exposed to the light of public scrutiny. And that's why these types of actions are so important. And it really is important to remember that even a few years ago, people like the Rockefellers and Brzezinskis and Kissingers of this world moved around with relative impunity. And in years past, in many years ago, people were able to walk right up to Bilderberg attendees and have conversations with them in the courtyard of the hotels where they were taking place. The very, very few people who actually knew about the existence of the Bilderberg group at that time, people like Tony Gosling. And these people were actually able to walk up and talk to attendees like the Rockefellers and Kissingers and their equivalents. But of course, they've had to retreat even further into secrecy and behind closed doors in order to avoid that public scrutiny. And they will have to continue trying to retreat further and further behind closed doors as more and more people wake up to this and begin to not only recognize these people when they see them, but also to actively verbalize their absolute disgust with what is taking shape, and to simply tell them that the New World Order will not stand. It is so important for people to become involved in that and to help, of course, continue waking others up to this information. So definitely my hat's off to everyone who is involved in that and who is in the arena taking a stand against this type of rule by secrecy. So Bilderberg 2010 is right around the corner, and of course everyone should have their eyes on this year's conference for any information that is coming out about what is discussed there, because undoubtedly this will be the marching orders which the Bilderberg attendees will be receiving to then disseminate throughout the year in their various organizations and their lower level, international level roundtables like the Council on Foreign Relations. And of course, each step further down the ladder this information goes, the less people are actively and consciously working towards the designs of the Bilderberg inner circle, but of course they are nonetheless controlled by what decisions are made there. And as discussed with Daniel Estulin in my interview, which of course is available for download from CorbettReport.com, the fact that Bilderberg is being more and more exposed probably means that the core nucleus of Bilderberg will be retreating further and further behind closed doors, even within Bilderberg itself. And of course, the Bilderberg Steering Committee is really the place where the real behind closed doors discussions happen. The larger Bilderberg meeting, which usually contains 150 to 200 people, is more of a talking shop at which things are discussed, but really the decisions themselves are made with the core nucleus of the group. So it's important to keep in mind that the larger talking shop is less important than what is really taking place behind closed doors. But as always, not only the Corbett Report, but of course many others will be trying our best to keep you informed about what is happening at this year's conference, as we stand on a knife edge on so many levels, on so many issues, with so many fronts happening in this war against tyranny. Some of these theaters of operation threatening to become very real wars that really will affect human lives. And of course, now we see the talk of war ramping up between North and South Korea. We see the Iran war rhetoric hyping up once again. And we see the collapse of the European economy very much on the table, and a very real possibility that will be being talked about this year. So once again, it is extremely important that we understand what is happening right now so that we can best understand how to confront it and how to oppose it. So on that note, please stay tuned to CorbettReport.com for continuing coverage of Bilderberg 2010 over the coming weeks. And we do plan to talk once again to Daniel Estulin as a wrap-up to this year's conference, where he will discuss what was discussed, which he will of course get from his sources inside Bilderberg. So please stay tuned for more information about Bilderberg 2010. And as always, please continue doing this research for yourself to help inform yourself about what is really going on, and then get others informed. That's all for today. I am your host, James Corbett, thanking you for joining me for this 131st episode of the Corbett Report, and asking you to join me again next week for episode 132, Meet the Southern Poverty Law Center.
I feel so sorry for the rich man, 'cause he looks worried, sick, you know. He thinks the poor are gonna take his riches back from him. They'll come in the night and will take all his stuff.